In the heart of the city, there was a man named Elias. To the world, he was a living saint. His days were a whirlwind of good deeds, a meticulously choreographed ballet of charity. He'd start at dawn, handing out warm bread to lines of hungry faces. His smile as practiced and perfect as a stage actor. By noon, he'd be at the shelter he built with his own hands, tucking blankets around sleeping shoulders and whispering words of comfort. He gave away his wealth, his time, his very essence. People would weep with gratitude, calling him a savior, an angel walking among them. They saw a man overflowing with pure, selfless love for humanity, but they never saw his eyes. If they had, they might have noticed the cold, calculating glint behind the saintly smile. Because inside Elias's mind, a different story was being written. As he ladled soup into a bowl for a shivering child, his inner voice wasn't one of compassion, it was the voice of an accountant. Another soul fed, it would whisper. Added to the ledger, that's 100 points, at least. When he gave his own coat to a man freezing on the street, the internal monologue continued. A significant sacrifice. That should secure a prime position. Another 1,000 points, logged and confirmed. Every act of kindness was a transaction. Every good deed, a deposit. He wasn't giving, he was investing. He was buying his way into paradise. He pictured the afterlife as a grand estate, a celestial country club, and he was determined to own the most luxurious suite. His life wasn't a mission of mercy. It was the most ambitious business venture of all time, with an eternal payoff. He saw the poor and the suffering not as people, but as opportunity. Each desperate face was a stepping stone, a rung on the ladder he was climbing towards the pearly gates. He learned their names, their stories, not out of genuine interest, but to maximize the perceived value of his generosity. Remembering a name, he'd think, that shows personal connection. That's bonus points. He was a master of the performance of kindness. He knew exactly how to angle his body for the local news cameras, how to let a single, well-placed tear roll down his cheek at the most impactful moment. The world applauded his selflessness, never suspecting that his charity was the most selfish act of all. He was building a monument to himself, brick by brick, good deed by good deed, all for an audience of one he imagined waiting for him in the great beyond. This cosmic bookkeeping continued for decades. Elias grew old, his body frail, but his resolve never wavered. His ledger, in his mind, was overflowing. The columns were filled, the balances calculated. He had invested a lifetime of performative compassion, and he was ready to cash in his celestial portfolio. On his deathbed, surrounded by those he had helped, he felt no fear, only a smug satisfaction. He had played the game perfectly. He had outsmarted mortality itself. As he drew his final breath, a confident smile was etched on his face. The deal was done. The payment was rendered. Now, it was time to collect. And then, he was there. Before him stood a gate of breathtaking light, more magnificent than anything his mortal mind could have ever conceived. It radiated a warmth that seemed to seep into his very essence. Standing before it was a figure, serene and timeless. Elias approached, his posture straight, his head held high. This was his moment of triumph. The ultimate validation. He had the receipts, a lifetime of receipts. In fact, he cleared his throat, the phantom sensation of a practiced, humble smile on his new form. "I am Elias," he announced, his voice steady. "My records should speak for themselves. I believe I have an account in good standing, a reservation, you might say." The gatekeeper looked at Elias, and for the first time Elias felt truly seen. There was no judgment in the figure's gaze, only a deep, profound clarity that stripped away all pretense. Indeed, Elias, the gatekeeper's voice, was not a sound, but a feeling, a resonance, that echoed in the space where his soul now resided. "We have been watching. We have your ledger right here." From a swirl of light, a book materialized in the gatekeeper's hands. It was impossibly thick, bound in what looked like worn leather. Elias beamed. This was it. His life's work. His ticket to eternal glory. He could almost feel the plush comfort of his heavenly suite. "Ah, excellent," Elias said, unable to contain his pride. "Every meal, every blanket, every single act is documented in there. A lifetime of giving." The gatekeeper opened the book. The pages were filled with meticulous, flowing script, detailing every single one of Elias's deeds, just as he had imagined. "It is all here," the gatekeeper affirmed, turning a page. "You fed 10,000 people. You clothed 5,000. You sheltered 2,000. An impressive record. Elias nodded eagerly. So, where do I go? Which mansion is mine? I assume it's one with a good view. The gatekeeper slowly closed the book. The sound was soft, yet it echoed with a deafening finality. Elias, the voice was gentle, yet it cut through his confidence like a shard of glass. You misunderstand. This isn't a ledger of good deeds. The gatekeeper held up the book, and the title, which Elias hadn't seen before, seemed to burn into his consciousness. It read, The Ledger of Transactions. Elias's triumphant smile faltered. Transactions? What do you mean? I gave everything. No, the gatekeeper replied, the serene gaze unwavering. You paid for everything. You saw suffering and saw an opportunity for personal gain. You saw need and saw a commodity to be exploited for a future reward. True kindness, Elias, is a gift. It expects nothing in return. It is an act of pure empathy, a connection between two souls with no thought of a balance sheet. What you did was business. You spent your entire life buying a product that was never for sale. The magnificent gate behind the figure began to fade. The brilliant light dimming, replaced by an endless, empty gray, the gatekeeper and the ledger dissolved into the mist, leaving Elias utterly alone. There was no judgment, no punishment, only the cold, stark reality of his choices. He had spent his life securing a place in paradise, only to discover that in his desperate attempt to buy heaven, he had ensured he could never truly enter it. His eternal reward was to be left with the one thing he had cultivated his entire life, an empty transaction. This story isn't just about Elias. It's a mirror. It forces us to ask ourselves a crucial question. Why do we do the things we do? Are our acts of kindness genuine gifts given freely from the heart? Or are they transactions? Investments made with the expectation of a return, whether it's praise, a favor, or a spot in our own version of the afterlife. Take a moment today and reflect on your own motivations. When you help someone, what are you truly seeking? The answer might surprise you. True fulfillment doesn't come from a celestial ledger. It comes from the simple, unselfish act of giving. Thanks for watching. If this story made you think, consider subscribing for more content that challenges the everyday.